I believe we are live. Hey, what's up, YouTube boxing family? It is K-Rod here. I wanted to make this quick little live stream video for y'all today to talk about Mr. Abraham El Supernova, for those of you that may be interested. And yeah, let's talk about it. So, I think as far as, I guess like what we can say is that Abraham Nova, very good fighter, fights at 126, but as far as like what we can say as far as the progression as a fighter, I think it's safe to say that he's already ready for a title shot, or he's ready for world title level contention. Only reason why I even go to that level is just mainly because of Abraham Nova's, ability to, adapt to any type of style. And I will say, Abraham Nova, he has amazing ring IQ, to say the least, as a fighter. And he knows how to break opponents down when he sees weaknesses right away. And knows how to take fighters out of his element. That makes him that type of fighter to be the best in his division. So the biggest thing about Abraham Nova is that he is a very, very schooled boxer puncher. I will say he can definitely hit. Knowing that I was at his fight from last Saturday on the Joe Smith Jr. undercard, his punches hit. His punches, you can hear them shits. And it's definitely a lot different when you go to a fight versus just seeing it and hearing it on television. Because on TV, the broadcasting is not as realistic and as fresh to hear it. So you don't really have too much to really, see out of the fight and actually, witness, the actual bloodlust or the actual violence, from the fight itself. So I will say Abraham Nova, he has really, really good punch placement where, the shots actually really do hurt. And he's actually a very, very destructive, fighter. I will say what he has been doing in the longevity of his career is that he is just that type of fighter where he doesn't care what you think about him. He's coming for blood, and he's going to give you a problem in a fight. See, now, the biggest thing that I like about Abraham is that he has great, defensive, how should I say? He has good mechanism in actually doing the things that he needs to do to actually try to win a fight. But I will say, as far as, that the fight itself, like, when you watch him fight, he knows how to make a fight less, how should I say, less proactive, in which he knows how to break opponents down before the fight even starts. He knows when the punches are coming. He knows when he's seeing, the shots coming his certain angles, and he knows how to take somebody out of someone's element to make a fight a very difficult fight to get into. And I think the main issue is just that Abraham, he knows, he knows where to see the weaknesses out of a fighter before a fight even starts. And I just like that out of him, because Abraham, he knows what, what he's doing, and he makes himself, good enough to the point where he creates enough separation from his, opposition that turns him into, a bigger threat down the line. And I just think it's just only like a matter of time where AB, he's going to get his just due. And I think eventually a title shot has to be on the way. But let's just talk about the potential fight that Top Rank should definitely give to him. And I think it's fair to say he really does need it, because I like to see it, and I'm pretty sure the majority of people that love boxing would like to see it, and that would be a potential fight with Emmanuel Navarette. See, now Navarette is a very, very good, sturdy fighter. Very awkward, has great offense, but his defense is shit. Navarette is just not this type of guy where he just comes at you. He does all these crazy ass, looping shots, drooping, looping, booping. Whatever type of shots that people try to say he throws and lands, when obviously his punches are extremely predictable. It's not like Navarette really has that good, fundamental, punch placement. He really makes himself more vulnerable when he throws all these wide, loopy, drooping shots. And I think it's just mainly because, he doesn't really have too much to really, think about in a fight. So he doesn't really, use his mindset coming into the fight, where he actually tries to be, educated with his shots. So that's really the biggest issue with Navarette. Navarette does not have really good defensive reads. He does not have good ring IQ. He does not possess enough, stylistic, adaptation when things do go down west or down south. And he puts himself in weird positions where he really makes himself more vulnerable as the fight goes on. And I just think, that's just, a recipe for disaster. And I just think where Navarette is at in his career, I think it's fair to say that a fight between him and Abraham Supernova is a really, really good fight. See, now, people can tell me all the hell they want to say, oh, Navarette versus Abraham Nova isn't a good fight, blah, blah, blah. And I disagree. I think that's an amazing fight. The problem is just making sure that, we get to see the fight. And I think that's just the biggest issue. A lot of people don't want to, actually admit that the fight itself would be good. And I think the fight itself would be amazing. Some people want to argue to say Abraham, he'll get knocked out by Navarette, because that's what his crazy ass fans want to admit or try to say. And I disagree with that. I think Abraham, he'll end up stopping Navarette, and he'll give Navarette a tough war. It'll definitely not gonna be one of these crazy ass politicized type of wars that people say oh, it's gonna be that Mexican style or Puerto Rican style type of fighting. No, I disagree with that. I think it's gonna be a pure boxer puncher match, and whoever hits who first is gonna have a huge factor in creating a lot of changes in a fight for for the factors to play into their how should I say, their I guess their path to victory. And I think what Abraham has shown is that he has enough separation between him and Navarette to actually show to Navarette he's not this type of fighter that you think he is, and he's not a small guy, he's a huge fighter. And I think what AB will present to the table is something that is going to be a lot different. And on top of that, Abraham, he just has really good ring IQ to even know where the shots are coming from. And I know that I've said that countless times, but I just think I just need to put that out there, because what I saw from his fight against William Encarnacion, he was just he was shooting at the right shots, and he was just making it look so easy, to the point where William Encarnacion, he wasn't really making himself actually good enough in that fight to actually give Abraham problems. And Abraham, he just basically just played around with him, and he just made, Encarnacion look average. And I think that's what a high-level fighter should always do, even if you are like a world championship level type of fighter or a world champion alone. You need to create that type of separation where you show to the fighter, you're not on my level, and, there's, levels, to this game. And that's what makes you into a very destructive type of opponent. And I like that out of, Abraham's, ability to do that, because, he presents such a dangerous combination of being a heavily schooled boxer, but on top of that being a very schooled puncher. And that's why, he's so versatile. And I will say, as far as the puncher goes, he could punch, but I think, I think personally, it's the volume punching that plays a huge factor into that equation. And I think what he shows to the table is that, he's just that type of fighter where he doesn't really care about how you view him. He just goes in there and he just does his job. And I think that's what I can definitely see out of him, as he's just developing into being such a high level type of fighter. I think honestly he's just made for, him to defeat Navarette. And I think Navarette, he's going to see what see what Abraham's going to bring to the table, and he's going to fold to Abraham's fighting style. Salute to you, Jeffrey H. Lopez. Thank you for coming by. Peace and blessings to you, and I hope everything's well. But let's just talk about about the fight itself, because this is a big fight, and I think Bob Arum in Top Rank should know that that is a very good sellable fight. The problem is just that Top Rank, they obviously really need to get their act together and trying to give let the fans let the fights that we want to see. And I just think how things have just been moving lately, it's just been absolutely terrible. Top Rank hasn't really done a very good job in giving these type of fights, and I just find that really horrible that they're not actually moving to that direction. And I think I think it's mainly just due to the political racism that Bob Arum has been signifying within his I guess recent campaign, and not making sure that all the best fights are being made. And I think it's just simply with Bob Arum just not wanting to give us, the real hardcore boxing fans, a really, really good competitive fight. Otherwise, we would have been saw, all these good fights, made in the past. But it's just how I see it is just that, we just don't get to see these good fights. And, it's just that type of, how should I say? It's just that type of mindset that we have to, come up with, to just think that the sport of boxing can be better. But the problem is just that, we're not being so local enough as fans to actually demand it and actually see, the best fights be made. Because that's really the biggest problem in boxing. A lot of people are so, mentally, desensitized, from the sport. And I think that's really the biggest issue. A lot of people don't want to, be, how should I say, they don't want to be honest with themselves, and they don't want to, be true to their confidence of actually following the sport and actually, just wanting to see the fair justice in the sport. And I just think how things have just been moving lately for the sport of boxing. It's been horrible. But I think this fight between Abraham Nova and Emmanuel Navarette is a really good sellable fight. Even though Abraham, he's not, how should I say, he's not a, Puerto Rican at best, but I will say, knowing that he was born in Puerto Rico, um, Puerto Ricans from that, realm of thinking will view somebody of non-Puerto Rican descent, a part of that, heritage per se. And I think, Abraham, he's, more closely connected, with the Puerto Rican crowd, even though, he is, Dominican, and, I, don't really see that to be like, eye to eye with somebody on that level, because it's like, I support people that are, hereditarily Puerto Rican. But all right, yeah, cool. Like, I mean, I like Abraham, and Abraham, he, like, definitely stands well, for the Puerto Rican, community and the Dominican community. So I think, what he brings to the heritage alone is that, him winning a world title, like, not only just elevates ourselves as Puerto Ricans, but I think at the end of the day, it's just like, Dominicans win, Black Americans, like, we win for the people of Albany. And I'd say on top of that, just, like, I guess, us boxing fans, we also just win by just having, like, guys like him, just try to stand up for, the greatness of the sport. And that's what I like out of him. I like his energy. I just like how he's been moving in the sport. And knowing that he called out Emmanuel Navarette, even though Navarette, he's a bad man, he's a really, tough outing for a lot of people. But I think Navarette versus Abraham Nova is like that Floyd Mayweather versus, how should I say, Shane Mosley type of fight. Or I'll probably even say like the Jose Luis, Castillo fight. But I don't know. I just think, honestly, like, how things have just been going in that type of realm of thinking, I just think, that would be very interesting to see, where things can go. And I hope it happens. I hope it happens. I like to see what things can evolve into that, type of scenario. And I think what we can expect out of Abraham Nova is that if Bob Arum can solidify a fight to be made for Abraham Nova versus Emmanuel Navarrete next, that would be awesome, because it's definitely needed. And I think Navarrete, he's not going to be moving up to 130 anytime soon, because from what we've heard, that Top Rank, they're now trying to move forward with like the Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson fight. I don't see what Navarrete can do other than just move up to 130 and fight somebody that that we don't even know. But I think, like, how things have just been orchestrating lately is that Navarrete, he should definitely take on the challenge with Abraham El Supernova. And I think, Abraham Nova, that's a good-ass opponent. That's not somebody that's just, a easy pick'ems, type of fight. I just think how that fight will go is just like Abraham Nova, he's going to give up, a challenge. He's not going to, make the fight, extremely easy for Navarrete. I think what Navarrete shows is that he has like enough separation in his offensive pressure ability to give a fight a very difficult fight, especially on the inside. But other than that, that's about it. I mean, Navarrete, he doesn't really show anything special out of like what he could really do. But who knows? I mean, honestly, I think Emmanuel Navarrete versus Abraham Nova, that should be like the next fight to make. I think that fight should definitely be made next, and I like to see the fight. So, I mean, like, whoever tries to say, like, Navarrete versus Abraham Nova is not a good fight to see, blah, 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 Navarrete is going to knock his ass out. If it's that easy, just show it to me. Fine. Let me just see the fight then. Because I don't give two shits. Because, talk is cheap when people can't back it up, with proper, sentiment or with proper action. And I just think, like, how everything's just been orchestrated between Navarrete's, like, how should I say, Navarrete's, ability to, just be that type of man of his word and actually fight the best. I just think Navarrete, he has more on the plate to prove. And I think he needs to, be a man of his word and actually fight, somebody credible. Because if anything, he's just fighting Shakur leftovers. It's not like he's fighting anybody spectacular. And I like to see Navarrete fight guys like, like, how should I say, Gary Russell, Kiko Martinez. Definitely unify the division if you're going to stay at 126. But I think Navarrete, he knows better that it's probably best for him to just take on the challenge with Abraham Nova. And then, if there's a possibility to fight the winner of Shakur versus Valdez, then go for it. I don't think how that can't be made. I'd like to see that fight be made next. If the winner of Abraham Nova and who else? Abraham Nova and Mr. Emmanuel Navarrete can definitely get the winner of Shakur and Valdez. I personally like to see it, but who knows? I think there's a lot of good stakes at hand of where that sweepstakes jackpot can land. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.